must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, those listening to this tape or this video, I want to bring to your attention that the politics of proxy wars in Africa is becoming real, and it has become a reality. I want to bring to the attention of the African states that time and time again we have fallen victims of proxy wars. We fight wars that are not ours. We fall in conflicts that are not supposed to be, don't help Africa, and they don't help our countries at all. The proxy war that is in East and Central and the Horn of Africa has been ignited, supported, equipped by France. It has been very real that the French government, quietly through its company called Total Oil, has been searching for resources around the triangle of East and Central Africa and the Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. The LAPSET was one of them, which could have been a landmark project for the people of France. They withdrew from it. The Tanga to Mwanza, they made it, they withdrew from it. The search for oil and resources through Total Oil has brought us the dangers of a proxy war in the region. It is therefore very prudent for people of the region to understand the dynamics that we are going through. For example, in Rwanda and the Burundi conflict, there is a proxy war. We are fighting a proxy country. It has brought us to a war between the two countries, between Uganda and Rwanda and Burundi. There is a proxy war in Congo who is sponsoring a resurgence of rebels that are fighting President Tshisekedi because he was not supported by countries that we know very well. This type of strategy has happened in North Africa, where Libya has been reduced to rebels, where each faction, even the government supported by United Nations, is being bombarded by a rebel called Khalifa Haftar, who is funded by countries that we know. The question of Somalia and the Kenyan maritime presents a challenge, a testy case for Africa and East Africa to stand firm and denounce the actions of countries that bring proxy wars and proxy politics in our region. It is therefore my humble submission that for this conflict, for this to end, we must do enough publicity, advocacy around the area to tell and explain to the international community why this problem is going to create an imbalance in the peace in the region, and the regional peace will be affected. It is therefore my humble submission that as a Ugandan whose troops, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers of other many millions Ugandans who are in Somalia, condemn any action by the Somali government to try to resolve issues that should have been resolved amicably as Africans within the African confines. I submit, therefore, that some of us will go a mile further to do now, from now onwards, to expose, to show the challenges of these countries that make us fight a proxy war in Africa. Thank you very much for listening. God bless you.
ahead of them in our civilization. They set out to destroy us. And Berlin Conference put the nail on that coffin. So they gave Djibouti the same sovereignty as the United States. They gave Burundi the same sovereignty as China. They gave Togo. You see, the EU realizes individual little countries, they can't survive on the world stage. So they come together as the European Union. Now picture this now. So they cut up this Africa into the tiny little countries, small economies that could never survive on their own, but gave them the same sovereignty as the big boys. So that way, when the little bitty countries go to the world stage for the purposes of development and discussing trade, they're wannabe boxers who are being thrown into the heavyweight boxing ring every day. How do you put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini? Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people. And you put them on the same stage and say, go at it, negotiate. Are you with me? Yes. This is insanity of the highest order. How have we allowed this carnage to go on? When Eswatini is thrown in the same boxing ring with China and Eswatini collapses before Eswatini even gets on the stage, the world says, well, Eswatini, what's wrong with you? Why can't you take care of your people? Well, China came in and said, Eswatini, give me all your gold or else. And if Eswatini does not agree, they just go on next door to Lesotho and give Lesotho an extra $1. And if Lesotho doesn't take it, they just jump on to Togo, Central African Republic. It was all by design. 1884. They did something else in addition to chopping us up. They also set out to make the African believe that everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything Western, particularly French and British, was more desirable. We call that the legacy of colonization. Prior to that, they had started long working on the slaves. Make them think everything about them, forget anything about Africa. Where you come from is a horrible place, diseased and dying people, constantly at war with themselves, uncivilized. Cut out any communications with them. You need to just know what we tell you. And we call that the legacy of slavery. So that's where you look at where we are today. 135 years later, a system that was put in place to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated, that Africa is forever exploited, remains in place today, alive and well. And we sit here and we ask ourselves, why isn't Africa moving forward? Why does Africa continue to be taken advantage of? Well, I'll tell you why, very simply. Until Africa comes together as a continent speaking with one voice, one continent, one people, nothing, and I repeat, nothing is gonna change. As individual little African countries, we are wannabe boxers. We will never make it fighting against the heavyweights. We must speak with one voice. Yes. And this is exactly what our Pan-African leaders wanted to see happen in 1963 when they came together in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They clearly stated that Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and that African Union was now. They said Africa must speak with one voice. It is the only way for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa in 1963, they were divided. We had two factions, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans at home African Union now. This was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Only 7. The other 25 of the 32 who attended were the Monrovia group. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. Let's kind of wait on this Pan-African thing. 55 years later, 56 this year, we're still going slow. As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out. From us poor people, Africans. Back to the pact. So should you want to access some of your money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit your country's financial returns. And if approved, you get to get it as a loan. You can only access up to 20% of your money year in, year out as a loan at commercial interest rates. Your own money. As if that was not enough. They said all your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered, yet to be discovered. France and French companies have the first right of refusal. If there's anything left over that the French companies do not want, your people might have. To this day. They said you will only use the currency that we created for you because you're special Africans. We call it the CFA. There was the Central African CFA and the Western African CFA, same animal. And that France is the only one that can print it for you. 1958. Fast forward. They're still printing it for us. And if you start misbehaving, they just stop printing your money. And your country's in trouble. They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country, that your military can only be trained by France, that you can only buy military equipment from France, that you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor, and that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated.
Teach, sister, teach. Speak on, sister.
Fast forward, 2019, nothing has changed. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And what is the African doing? Like an obedient, programmed black man, we just give in. We know the facts, but we just do nothing about it. Now, you have to say some of the fears are real, because if France that has sold you inferior equipment to theirs, France that has trained your military to be inferior to their military, they are now in your country. They can invade you. They have the permission to do so. They can destabilize you. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. France had something to do with it. The first 7, when they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated. Majority of them aided by France. It's a known fact. And then others, they were just mercenaries who felt that when there was a natural resource discovered in one country, they wanted to create a coup. So while the country is thrown into a civil war, they're siphoning the natural resource. We know of one particular story that had we not known about it, it would have been, oh, there we go again, the Africans. In about 25 years ago, a group of young, rich white kids were having fun in Cape Town. They found out that there was oil in Equatorial Guinea that had just been discovered, and they wanted it. So they set out a plan to have a coup in Equatorial Guinea. So while the Guineans are busy fighting a civil war, they will be siphoning the oil. But they made one mistake. There were 2 planes. One was to leave South Africa, stop in Zimbabwe, pick up more ammunition on their way to hunt in Equatorial Guinea. Another plane was taking off in the Caribbean that had this puppet diaspora who was supposed to be the next president. Mugabe wondered why such young people needed such powerful ammunition to go hunt in Equatorial Guinea. In doing his research further, he found out that this was a coup in the making. He allowed them to land in Zimbabwe. They loaded their plane, and just before takeoff, they were all arrested. The ringleader of that group was none other than the son of the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher. She had to fly to Zimbabwe and paid handsomely to get her son out. The last one of those prisoners left Zimbabwe about 6-7 years ago. Had these young people succeeded, it would have been another coup. There you go, the Africans again. Such, my brothers and sisters, is the story of your Africa. They don't do coups anymore. They simply create instability. So when you hear of an instability in an African country, ask yourself, what is really going on? Because what they are telling you is really going on is just a shiny object. The real issue is over here. And you need to stop before you start being used as an instrument of your own self-destruction.
Zimbabwe's economy is cursed because we have a bad leadership running the treasury of the people of Zimbabwe. President Emerson Mnangagwa should have picked a person who understands the political, social, economic apparatus of what the economy of Zimbabwe needs. President Emerson Mnangagwa would have been able to walk out of this quagmire of the economy by picking a leader, a person who is able to manage the economy. The current Minister of Finance is a parrot of George Soros, Brent Woods institutions. He cannot run the economy. A person who always talks of hiked prices, hiked percentage, hiked fuel, cannot help you in a struggle where regime change is near the doorsteps. President Emerson Mnangagwa, dear brother, time has come to change the direction. The Zimbabwe economy is the Waterloo of the government of Zimbabwe. It is important, therefore, for us to do what we call fatigue evaluation. Is there a need for fatigue evaluation? Is the system moving forward? Is there an investment that is coming as it was, as people were willing to come with investment? It is very shocking at this age that America is piling pressure and sanctions on Zimbabwe, that the same American people, through a proxy, send one to be the chairman of Zimbabwe Reserve Bank, or the Central Bank of Zimbabwe. I want to ask, what is this that we Africans get confused when it comes to the direction of our own policies? Here is a country that has hammered sanctions, and here we are. We have got their own native coming to manage our and micromanage our finances to find out why we went wrong. But then he's not going to tell America to remove sanctions before he manages the same place. Are we cursed? I believe the people of Zimbabwe, I believe the president will look at this and review the appointment of Mr. Mark Holzman. Mr. Mark Holzman can be very good in Rwanda, but he cannot be very good in Zimbabwe. He will bring you the mobs and the millions of people on the streets of Harare if you allow him to run your economy or your finances. Thank you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
There are a number of countries in Africa that produce oil. Kenya today joined one of those became one of the member states of oil-producing countries in Africa. It exported its first oil, where President Uhuru Kenyatta flagged off the oil that was got from Turkana in one of the northeastern parts of this country. But is oil a curse to Africa? Is oil a curse to the entire places where oil is found? We see in the Middle East, the wars in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, in United Arab Emirates. It has developed the area in Qatar. We all have many cities, skyscrapers coming up because of the proceeds from the oil. But can Africa emulate that example and bring the same oil proceeds to make sure that it makes lives better for the people, the betterment of the people of Africa and their families and their other activities? I want to see that. But I might not be able to explain why Africa always falls a victim. Are there external forces that make the oil in Africa to become sour? Is it the competition of the oil companies, Total and Shell BP and others, that come to Africa to take the share of the oil? Simply because we have no energy, ability to be able to drill the oil ourselves, refine it ourselves. It is shocking, therefore, to go to Nigeria, for example, a country that produces third in the world for oil production, has no petrol at the petrol station. Is this not a curse? If it's not a curse, what do you call it? Thank you. Thank you very much, viewers, wherever you are in the world. Those are part of our clips, the clips that this Punchline Africa has been doing. Punchline Africa television is your television. The television for Africa, the television that stands in for Africa. It talks about Africa. It looks at what ails Africa, what destroys Africa. This television station has no prisoners it carries. It says it as it is. It is up to the people of Africa to appreciate that there is some voice somewhere that stands for this continent. Viewers, the whole of this morning and last night, we were talking about the politics of Kenya, about the Chief Justice Maraga, an elder of 69 years or 67, whatever, who should be picking a phone to call another neighbor, another elder, president, and talk to him about issues that ail the judiciary. Instead, the Chief Justice has picked a phone and gone to the microphones of the journalists who will turn around him and bring chaos to his career. Today, this evening, tonight, we have delayed a bit because of a few hiccups here and there, but I believe you are enjoying our clips, our videos that we have played before from the Africa School of Thought. Africa School of Thought is part of my innovation. We talk about, we put all what we say in that data bank for students around the world to pick and read, enjoy. We do what we can for Africa. And then soon, maybe this year or next year, we shall specialize in small clips and videos that teach the people of Africa, that bring the history of Africa, in order one day we make a renaissance of this great continent. With me in the studio today to analyze the diplomatic leaks and who will actually test the microphones very shortly is none other than Miriam Ogutu. Good evening, Miriam.
Good evening to you, Dr. And
thank you very much.
We missed you today in the
show. For standing in for us. I was not feeling well, but I'm back here. But because of Africa, I said, let me pull myself out of bed and come and talk about this very important topic. Why is Africa caught up in proxy wars? As you know, the entire continent of Africa, North, East, Central, South, the Horn of Africa, Central Africa, is in a state of anxiety. Some parts have full-scale war. Some parts are anticipating a war. Some parts don't know what will happen. Some parts have opposition on the streets, permanently as residents of the roads instead of the cars, like Malawi, like Mozambique, like Khartoum in Sudan. Residents are threatening to come back to the streets. Why is it so? Why is Africa in chaos? When you look at Libya, for example, we shall begin country by country, and perhaps Miriam can simply mention the countries that we are going to tackle this evening.
Yes, indeed, and the countries that you're going to look at, that you've seen some proxy wars taking place, and wars that have refused to go away. And one of the countries that is very synonymous with this is the Libyan war, and also we'll look at the Kenya-Somali war, and also the Nigerian Boko Haram, together with the Biafran war together, and the Ivory Coast, war there that happened, and still, I think, happening there. There's still some tensions. And South Sudan, with 7 days to go, we'll look at that, and also Mozambique, DRC Congo, Ambazonia, Zimbabwe, as well as the tiff between Rwanda and Burundi, among other countries that are involved in this dispute.
Thank you very much, Miriam. First, let's begin with one of the wars, one of the catastrophes that befell Africa. Libya, a state that had all the things that it wanted on planet Earth. Libya, a country that paid for its social services. Libya, a country that was able to sustain itself. Libya, a country where infrastructure, welfare of the people, economy was doing very well. Libya, a country that was lending money to African countries, was reduced to rubble. What do you say about that?
Yes, indeed. And we've seen very key players there. Turkey, being a NATO member, a long-time major economic partner there in Libya, took part in the 2011 military intervention in Libya that toppled its long-time leader, Muammar Gaddafi. And of course, together, like Doha, these two factions in Libya, particularly the Misratan factions with historic Turkish roots that go back to the Ottoman Empire. So the Turkey also were involved in this war, but they came there on their own interest to protect the people they thought were associated with them. But Doctor, as we can see, they are not the only players in this war that is going on in Libya.
First of all, Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council mandated for the bombardment of Libya. I want to take this opportunity to remind Africans that one of the countries that actually dismembered Libya is South Africa. South Africa voted in favor of Resolution 1970. Whenever you see Zuma, an African hero, an African, whoever you see Zuma, pray, take down to your knees. Zuma directed his diplomat in the United Nations to vote for the bombs to drop on Gaddafi. There are two people that I want to blame further before I finally come to the country that spearheaded the killing of Libya. Two people, John Ping and Kofi Annan. The late Kofi Annan played a vital role in dismembering of Libya, together with Obama and Mr. John Ping, who was the Secretary General or the chairperson of the African Union. Mr. John Ping delayed a plane of African heads of state in Mauritania, including the Kenyan foreign minister, who cried for help while he was in Mauritania, where there was a military coup that took place and the plane was impounded in Bamako until Muammar Gaddafi country was dismembered. Behind all this, there is always a proxy war. There is always a country that pushes UN. I have been telling people on time and time again, and they think that maybe what I talk, I'm a madman. This country is called France. The French were at the forefront of going to bombard. Sarkozy, at that time, the president of this country, called France, had become bankrupt. You remember Muammar Gaddafi visited Paris. Muammar Gaddafi made a mistake. And most of us leaders in Africa, we have a very big problem. We tell what we are not supposed to tell. You say what you are not supposed to say. Our fellow white population doesn't tell us whether they have nuclear weapons or not. But for us, because we have seen these things new, we keep on talking about them and destroy ourselves. Muammar Gaddafi made a mistake of telling Sarkozy that there is enough money that can feed Africa. And remember, Sarkozy already was feeding on Africa. Remember, this money, once it is put in African economies, could change the entire Africa. And if you are telling your enemy that you have enough money that you want to pay Africa to liberate itself from the same colonial master who survives because of us, he would kill you. That's the situation in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi is no more. A country has been divided into two parts. A country bleeds from morning up to evening. General Khalifa Haftar crosses over, goes to kill the same Libyans in Tripoli. The AU is helpless. The AU is captured by the French people again. The French have made Moussa Faki not to take a firm decision. The AU has recognized a government in Tripoli. What business has it got to recognize or even to beg General Haftar Khalifa? Egypt, that's why I'm saying it's a proxy war. Egypt, United Arab Emirates, France, and to some extent, Saudi Arabia, they have connived to destroy Libya. Turkey, Russia, to some extent, are helping Mr. Khalifa Haftar to dismember Libya. When you look at the proxy war, America itself is watching. Does not want to commit which side it belongs.
There has been a conspiracy of silence from the...
A very big conspiracy of silence. For you viewers in Africa, wherever you are, pick your pens and watch. What is it difficult for you to proscribe ISIS, but you cannot proscribe Boko Haram?
Boko Haram has not been proscribed.
Where is it?
But they have proscribed IPOB.
Where is it? So this is it. The Africa that we want, what we are going through. I wanted to bring this topic so that people know that that is war number one. Libya is bleeding. There is no African Union standing up to say enough is enough. General Haftar Khalifa, the Egyptian General Assisi, a chairman of the African Union, is busy fighting for water coming from Ethiopian highlands. He's busy trying to threaten Ethiopia that we shall go to war. Where are we heading as Africans?
Yes, indeed, Doctor. I think that is a very interesting question there. And just before we just leave that point going there, I think in the morning you're not here, but the matter between Ethiopia and Egypt in regards to the Nile River and Ethiopia wanting to build a hydroelectric power plant at the dam there has not gone very well with Egypt. And guess what? Egypt decided, El-Sisi, the chairperson of AU, he decided to reach out to the United Nations to be the mediator within these two countries in Africa, which one of them has the chair of AU, cannot trust even AU enough so that they could solve our problems. Instead, El-Sisi reached out to the United States and they're expecting Donald Trump to come in and intervene between a matter between two African states, and that is really disappointing for me as an African, seeing that that is what a chairperson of AU is doing. But what do you expect from a person like El-Sisi? So in the matter of Libya and how things stand today, this is what I don't understand. What will be the end game of this war in Libya? Because the same United Nations that has recognized this government and has backed this government, the government that is now in charge officially, that is backed by the United Nations. At the same time, the permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, France, is coming against the will and the decision by the United Nations, and is going against the decision by the United Nations, and is backing somebody that is not recognized in Libya. So at the end of the day, what is the end game here in Libya? Where will this lead Libyans? When are we going to see the end of this war in Libya? And who is even talking about it?
At the end of the day, Libyans are fighting a proxy war. They are not fighting a war for themselves. Mm-hmm. They are fighting a proxy war, a war that is injuring this country, a war that was engineered by France. Mm-hmm. The main beneficiary of the Libyan war is France. The main beneficiary, the one taking oil, crude oil is being taken every day in tankers at the expense of the dying Libyans, is France. There is no shortcut. There's no name calling a cock a hen. Let's call a cock a cock. France, wake up. The suffering of the people of Libya is on your shoulders. The suffering of the people of the war of the Sahara region. The Sahara region is full of arms as a result of your poor foreign policy that created Africa into a chaotic ground where you supply arms and then come back to defend the same arms that you have supplied. Thank you very much. Libya, at the end of the day, you are fighting somebody's war.
Yes, indeed. And
we call upon you, Libyan leaders, to wake up General Haftar Khalifa to just seize fire, go across to Tripoli, sit down. By the way, both factions are terrorists. Mm-hmm. Because the other one in Tripoli also seized the power, claiming. You remember, the worst part of foreign conspiracy, diplomatic conspiracy, is people don't see the problem. This is why we bring this topic every evening on Tuesday. Yes. For viewers to come and listen. Look at the mess. They armed terrorists, the Al-Qaeda of Maghreb, all assembled into Libya after the dismembering of Libya. So the people in Tripoli are equally terrorists. You know, that's what problems are.
Both sides.
That's why America is not able to put their feet directly on supporting who?
Is their citizen.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Khalifa has a passport, just as the other nation we are coming to. The one we are coming to near us here. When they have a leader with their passport, they don't touch. They don't touch. America is playing double games on the Libyan scenario. If America wanted to stop the war in Libya, it could talk to its brother called France, and France would speak. On another flank, I want to thank the government of America. Personally, I've received a message for having, agreed with me on the question of Cameroon. Thank you very much. I will thank you in the section of Cameroon when we come to President Trump and the State Department. I want to thank my friend Susan, not Susan, anybody, not Condoleezza Susan, but Susan Rice. My dear sister, thank you very much for having listened to some of my views. You remember when she had no job, we used to do, research together. A very great sister of the globe, a great friend of mine. We reached there. By the way, we reached there. On the question of Amazonia, I delivered a message, went there, and I want to thank the people of Amazonia that America has listened. They have cut off. Mr. Paul Obiya, you are done. No more trade. Your goods can be eaten by your wife who has bought hair for $1 million. How can you allow a wife to have hair for $1 million when citizens are sleeping hungry? What an Africa. What type of Africa is this? Why are we in this continent? Why were we born here? Thank you very much. Thank you, America. I want to thank Madam Susan Rice, that I look forward to that meeting next year in January when you come to Africa. May God bless you. We shall continue with our steady work that we have done. We are volunteers. We don't ask for pay. Lobby work is very important. Very important, Miriam. I tell you why. People are running around the world, but they don't know the buttons to switch on. They run around the world that, for example, now, you will hear that the people have spent billions on getting the United Nations Security Council seat. But they don't know the people they want to talk to. This is the whole problem of these countries in Africa. You can hear that Kutesa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Uganda, went around getting a company that cannot defend him now. It's Matanga who can defend him.
Which company did he?
A very good company called the Potija. Potija. Mr. Potija, the company PR to defend Uganda. But Potija today has run off. He can't even defend you. It's better you deal with your Matanga who makes noise. Activism internationally helped. I made noise on Amazonia. And I want to thank everybody who has helped me on this journey. I can go home. Amazonia will be free. One day, if time comes, they will call me to live there. I have fought the battle. I have won that one. Amazonia, you will not trade, Mr. Paul Obiya. You will not trade with America anymore.
Yes, indeed. And James Mukuria here, one of our viewers, thank you so much for writing to us. He's saying, let the truth be said, Obama will forever remain one of Africa's greatest enemies of all time. My opinion, though, throughout his presidency, he served the interests of WASPS whereas we naively celebrated that we had our own in the White House. So he's saying Obama was a sellout. He did not really...
And James Mukura, thank you very much. You know, Africans fear to talk. And I want to talk. If there is a president of United States that I hate most, is Obama. He did nothing for Africa. He only left us a swimming pool in Siaya, which has turned to, it might not be a swimming pool again. Because how many Luos know how to swim?
A lot.
Yes, how many? Are they using it? The sister came and insulted everybody. No, let's be honest. Obama left Africa with nothing. Obama bombed down Gaddafi. I have no regrets. Gaddafi was helping this continent, Jermaine. Gaddafi was helping. AU could not lack money. He could bring money. How many presidents in Africa can offer AU $500,000? Some of them are in debt. Some of them are in debt in the African Union. They haven't paid membership subscription fee for the year. You go there and you are ashamed, and you are head of state, you have carried your perfumes from Guinea-Bissau, Conakry, where you are landing in the African Union, sitting to eat free things. What Africa is this? Tell me. Tell me what Africa is this? Obama and Clinton will never be forgiven by Africans for having bombed Libya to create as ISIS for our black people to be cut to pieces on a daily basis. Go and kill me if you want, but I've said it. What will you do? What? I will only go to grave, but I will not have any suffering anymore. We have had enough. We can't praise the people anymore. In Africa, when they see somebody talking, they bring you down. Look at what they did to Gaddafi. Gaddafi was telling you, you are killing me, and you are leaving the terrorists. The terrorists are going to occupy the Mediterranean Sea very soon, and I want to predict, take a pen and write this date. Very soon, that Mediterranean Sea might end up in a terrorist haven where ships will be hijacked.
Yes, and just adding to what you just said there, they cannot stand any criticism. Look at the recent example, Dr. Arikana, the AU, ambassador to the United States. What happened to her? Because she was telling the truth, and we played that clip before the beginning of the show.
Yes, Look at that lady. Why was the lady from Zimbabwe removed from African Union by this stupid man called Massa Musa? What education has he got? What type of degree? He can't even spell English. What type of degree has he got to threaten people around because of height? I am not a diplomat. I'm whether in here or in London, I will even make the best television station, and I will criticize. So those who think that they man me or they threaten me, please be on standby. I'm also bad. I am. This guy of African Union has sold AU. Has sold AU to the French. He is paid. And the people did not listen to me. He goes and sacks this woman for nothing. And some people here, like Dr. Monica Juma, are keeping quiet. They don't talk about a woman who was sacked. They do not talk.
No country in Africa has protested.
Nobody.
Current leadership.
And the woman was saying the truth. The woman was saying the truth.
Absolutely.
She was sacked from her job. First of all, AU, if you don't give sex, you don't get a job. I think she refused to give sex to Faki. Then she was sacked. Because there's a report which they admitted themselves. I investigated them. There is an intelligence network in Addis Ababa calling itself African Intelligence Network. What does it do? It doesn't even know there is sex for work in AU. It doesn't know they are tapping telephones of the presidents. It doesn't know that France is destroying us. These African leaders.
And Peter Boateng, Kwasi, thank you so much. And you're saying until African leaders stop to bow to the European leaders, Africa will continue to be dark. My brother, if they kill you, boldness will never be forgotten. So
yes, I speak like a Nyerere. Have you listened to Nyerere's voice? It looks like a Matsanga's. Nyerere didn't have a big voice like Obama. Obama had a voice but useless ideas. We didn't see anything translated in Africa. Hallelujah. Yes. Look at Malcolm X. Oh yes. All their voices are like mine. Yes. Listen to Malcolm X. Listen to Martin Luther King. The voices of Nyerere flow in me. I speak the truth. I deliver the truth. What is it that we are getting here? You bring a proxy war in Africa, and we are killing Africans, and we are busy saying we are members of the Security Council. Which Security Council now?
You're not equal.
Nobody can condemn such an action. We have now got 3.4 million signatures ready to go.
Is that in regards to Dr. Arikana?
Yes. The whole Africa, I thank you very much for having signed this document. We are with you. We shall create a parallel AU. Yes. That man from Chad go and earn his living in Paris. But the AU we have now is not the AU we want. It cannot even pick a phone to call Riek Machar. You know why? Who picked a phone and called Riek Machar? This mouth, yesterday. Who? It's me. Said, don't delay. I don't want to tell any lies. Don't delay. If President Museveni has called you to Kampala, go. Because there is a resolution coming. There is a resolution coming, brother. I don't want to come to the tribunal looking for you, helping you. You delay, you fail to sign the agreement on 12th. There is a United Nations tribunal prepared for you. All of you.
7 days to go.
Yes. 384 people killed. And you want to walk around eating mutton and running around airplanes.
Seeking for more days.
Mama, I know the country that has prepared, and Dr. Riek Machar and Dr. General Salva Kiir, you are in Kampala, but my dear brothers, be careful. I wish you sent your... Riek, I've told you. I don't lie. Everything here I do, I tag Riek. I tag him so that he knows. The country that is coming for you, oh my dear, Mama Mia.
Here we go again, because now there, and we'll talk about it. We have South Sudan in, so we'll get to Sudan, to South Sudan. We'll talk about South Sudan and what is really happening and the latest there and what is going on there with the war. So now, Doctor, let's just go swiftly to Somali, Kenya. The boundary, the maritime boundary case that is unfortunate dispute that is obviously being fueled by commercial interests, which could break down security operations between Kenya and Somalia.
First of all, before we go there, you need to answer some of these critics, some of them who don't understand. Cheboni Toro, I believe you come from Sebei across in Uganda. I started fighting for freedom in Uganda when you were a baby in your stomach. So in 1982 is when I started fighting President Museveni. And I have spoken, brought the parties back. Uganda is a multi-party. In 2005, I stopped a war that had been fought for 22 years without an end. I'm proud of what I have done for my country. And I have no regrets at all. If there is anybody who can take over, I don't want to look like Museveni himself, who does not want to hand over power to other younger generation. I have handed over to other people like Bob Wine to continue with the work. And I am just going back to give wisdom. And I speak my mind. I cannot go to the streets of Kampala to demonstrate for what? Besigye is demonstrating in Kampala because it is him who wrote the manifesto of NRM. And you people don't speak to me. Listen, I did not write the NRM doctrine. Besigye was the political commissioner. He made the bed he's sleeping on. Let it bite him.
It is biting him.
Let it bite him so that, remember, when others are fighting, don't lock them in Luzira. Does anyone in Uganda remember that Besigye was a political commissioner? A Minister of State for Internal Security? Do you remember? Some of us who have lost our fathers and wives, don't remind us. Go back there. We have forgiven and we have moved on. If you made the bed you are making, let it eat you. Besigye is being eaten by the needles that he laid on the bed. I was not a political commissioner of NRM. I have never agreed with Museveni until God takes me home. I only agreed for the sake of peace and peace to return to northern Uganda. But on doctrine of democracy, I am even more land than he is. So I understand what it is. I have several degrees, he has one. So what do you want me to do? You want me to lecture what? I can go back in London and lecture for free every morning. After all, I've reached what I can call Freedom Pass, which allows me to travel free. Thank you. So you better know. When you are coming on this platform, you better know what you are talking about. I cannot fight like a Bob Wine because I am not funded by George Soros. Sorry. Let's move on to Somalia.
In Somalia, Kenya, the boundary maritime case that is now at the ICJ.
It's a proxy war. Was it there before? Why can't we ask why this boundary dispute between Kenya and Somalia has emerged now? It has emerged because there is a country that is funding Somalia, that is funding Faramijo. There is someone who sold hot air, like the NYS, delivering no tires, but you are paid millions of dollars of shillings for having delivered it, no tires. That's what they did on Somalia-Kenya conflict. The maritime conflict is a process of Norway, France, Qatar, to some extent Turkey. They wanted the oil. And to the biggest extent, guess America. We are making this argument. You know what? The last time I went into this argument was on 30th of August. Now it is usually, I've damaged it. They can't breathe beyond this. Somalis cannot breathe beyond this. I told their lawyer to leave. The lady whom I applied for asylum in London, to leave. I found her at the Old Bailey and told her, please, don't get involved in this. This is a mafia. The Prime Minister of Somalia, that short guy called Hassan Harie, is the main cause who is bringing Kenya and Somalia to a war. A proxy war which is playing because he wants to cover up what is in the serious fraud office in London. He wants to cover up everything that he did, which we have uncovered, which you have records, which you have tapes, which you have videos, which you have telephone conversations. So, if Farmajo wants to save his skin, he better sack that Prime Minister.
Is it a coincidence that it's just recently that the U.S., I think 2 months or so ago, that the U.S. reopened its embassy in Mogadishu?
It is not a coincidence. They planned it so well. And that's what I call a proxy war. America sent its man called Faramijo with an American passport. I don't want to reveal its number because you know, for me, when I research, I even know what you have, but I will keep quiet. So for security reasons, I will not reveal his American passport, which he has returned to the government of America, or they have kept it for him. When he is overthrown or taken away or loses power, he will go back to reapply for his, because no country in Africa except Djibouti or the Indian Ocean will accept him, because he has been one of the worst leaders that Somalia has ever had. He is a satellite leader, a parrot of the Americans. Now, if you have two people working for proxy, two proxies working for foreign countries, how do you expect peace to come? The president works for America. The prime minister works for Norway.
On behalf of.
And the president now has been told, work with Qatar. Qatar works for United States of America. When the rest of Middle East countries isolated Qatar for working with Iran, which country in the world came to support Qatar?
The US.
The US. Even today, Qatar Airlines pass through US corridor of the ships The planes passed through, surveyed the satellite system of Saudi Arabia, does not pick Qatar Airline. It is the US systems that guide the airline out of the Gulf into Africa or into the United States of America. That shows to you how bad proxy wars are in Africa and how we are going to have a problem. So, then we have the Prime Minister. This is the worst part of it in Somalia. Those who want to understand this Somalia-Kenya conflict, better listen to me. The Prime Minister used to be in Kenya.
The Prime Minister used to be in Kenya.
Yes, I don't want to say anything more than that.
At what point?
Because I'm investigating so many things.
Okay.
The Prime Minister used to live in Kenya. And he has got links with Norway. He became a Norwegian citizen by naturalization. When he took over power, or before he took over power, he persuaded about 11 people, 11 House of Lords, men, the wealthy men in Britain, to form a company called Soma Oil and Gas Holdings. This younger man called Hassan Hari is a thief, a terrible thief who was behind the hijack of ships with another guru, an Al-Shabaab operative who lives in Mogadishu. I know them. These are diplomatic leaks. I won't say much. But if you know you are living in Mogadishu and you are Al-Shabaab, you know whom I am talking about. They used to hijack ships and get money out of the ships in a house near Park Lane, near Hilton Hotel in London. They were being paid money. Money was cleaned. Now Hassan Hari formed this company together with those guys.
Soma Oil.
Mr. Howard, who was the chairman, who might not have known these problems, became the chairman of Soma Oil Company. A hot air company. A hot air company that started said it wants to explore oil facilities in Indian Ocean. They went halfway and then they came back and they said there is oil. Then before anybody could wake up, they had sold this oil for $50 million. Pounds, which translates to 110 or 20 pounds, $1 million. Now, if you want to ask a question, if these guys were linked to terrorist organizations, don't you think some of this money must have been used to kill us? The question of a proxy war where Norway pays Somalia legal fees is what made the Somali lawyer to leave.
So Norway is the one who is paying Somalis legal fees?
All the legal fees are paid by Norway to be in the ICJ. Bed and breakfast and all the car hires. I've gone behind the scenes, got all these documents. I have them. I have who is paying, how much is being paid. I have had, you remember the judge no longer makes noise. Judge Abdalakir Yusuf. I punctured him. I went even in Brussels, got a tape where he molested a woman. So if he wants me to play this tape, I will play it. I will play the tape. I am at 20 plus 5 times. I will play the tape on light time like this. So Judge Abdulakiu Yusuf just walk out. Save your integrity. Otherwise, I will play the tape. I will play the tape. I got it. Remember the woman you molested in Brussels? So it gives you a clue. You better leave the case to be handled. Otherwise, I will play the tape.
All right, and before you play the tape, we just move swiftly to Nigeria and we look at what is going on there in regards to Boko Haram and Biafra, and any major political crisis in Nigeria will affect the entire Africa because of what Nigeria is to the rest of Africa. But yet, this might set a table for a new scramble for imperial powers in Africa. And what is happening right now in Nigeria in regards to insecurity is not just a handiwork of a ragtag army, that is the Boko Haram, who is now fighting an Islamist cause. Neither are they true Muslims or represent anything close to Islam.
Thank you very much. The question of Nigeria can be divided into two parts. The Boko Haram Nigeria and the Biafra Nigeria. In North, I have got a tape here, a video that was sent from Onitsha. If I put it on this television, everybody in the world will cry tears. The Nigerian army pulled a younger man from his van, pulled a younger man from their vehicle, tied him legs, hands, pulled him to the bush, dug a grave near the house, threw him in the grave, shot him, and you can see their numbers. Nigerian number, the Nigerian army. These human rights abuses in Nigeria must stop. The Nigerian army itself committing heinous crime on video. And they are talking that it is you, because of you, that we left our homes to come all the way from the north to come down here. It is the type of you. They were talking in English. They are not talking Yoruba. They are not taking Fulani. They are talking in English. Hey, what is this happening, Mr. Buhari? Human rights abuse. They dug the grave. They put the man near the wall of a house. Inside, they shot him. Several bullets. He was even dead. They continued to shoot. I don't want to play this tape. These are some of the documentations that I have collected that I will hand over to the chief prosecutor one day. I swear, Buhari, you might not have a good time. I've been quiet. I've been silent. But when I saw this tape today, I can't play it for the sake of the children who are watching this film at this moment. It has got a lot of graphics. The simplest thing is because this man, younger man, is from Biafra, an Igbo. Caught at a roadblock, killed in cold blood, buried in a place that we shall never know. These are some of the things. That's one Nigeria. The other proxy war that Nigeria is fighting is the war of Boko Haram. Mr. Buhari has refused international support to wipe out Boko Haram. It brings us to question, are these Boko Haram his people?
Boko Haram, yes, and when you just look at the history of Boko Haram, critics have argued that the northern politicians promised to make the country ungovernable for President Goodluck Jonathan when he was contesting. You remember the 2011 presidential elections? So at that time, because Mr. Jonathan Goodluck was not coming from the northern part of Nigeria, so because until then Boko Haram was known, but it was not very violent, as it were. It started being very violent in 2011 because it was formed in 1992, but until 2011, nobody heard so much about Boko Haram bombing churches and Christians and things like that. So all of a sudden, Boko Haram is here, and that is because the northern part of the politicians who comes from the northern part of Nigeria had said, should anybody be elected who is not from the northern part of the country, they made sure that they'll give him a very difficult time. And so Boko Haram, and then after, of course, Goodluck Jonathan left and President Buhari came into power. Of course, these are people who majorly come from his part of where he comes from, up there from Nigeria, and that perhaps could, play into what critics were saying, because now President Buhari has been seen to be very lenient in the manner in which he's dealing with Boko Haram. In fact, it is under his leadership that Boko Haram has really, really thrived and has grown in quite a stride there.
It is very, very sad that the people are watching bloodshed taking place. Osuji is a member of the ICC, the president of International Court of
ICC, yes.
ICC,
International Criminal Court.
International Criminal Court. He cannot even say a word about the killings of the Igbo people. The killings that are taking place in the states of Eastern Nigeria must be condemned by the international community. The army in Nigeria has behaved so badly that it does not deserve to be an African army. It needs its commanders to face a tribunal somewhere. It needs its commanders to make sure that the people who got the field observe human rights. And that's all we are appealing on the question of Nigeria, and that Buhari accept that you will not solve the problem of Biafra without a referendum. And if you don't give them the referendum, the sufferings, the killings will bring in your own commanders one day. Remember, Nigeria is the only country whose chief justice has no papers.
They were eaten by termites.
Because the papers were eaten by termites.
Yes.
So he's a Sharia chief justice, Sharia law. And you remember, Nigeria has so many good universities. Ibadan was one of the best universities. One of the most educated people come from the southeast of Nigeria. The things fall apart, man, writer. These are people, powerful people. But for you to tell me Nigeria has a chief justice without a certificate, and he tells the people that the certificate was eaten by termites, it leaves my mind very empty to discuss anything further. Thank you.
So, okay, then now let's move to Ivory Coast and remember what happened years ago when troops entered the grounds of the presidential residence where Laurent Gbagbo had been holding up, defended by his die-hard loyalists. It was crucial for the future of the Alassane Ouattara's presidency that was making this final breakthrough from Ivory Coast. And, of course, France was part of the people that helped fight Laurent Gbagbo to remove him from the State House where he had refused to come out. But what is very interesting is Laurent Gbagbo was very close to France, and then I don't know what point they fell out, and so I think France was not very comfortable with having him there as the president of Ivory Coast.
First of all, I want to take this opportunity to tell the world another proxy war is taking shape in that part of Ivory Coast. The French government has gone to the International Criminal Court last week. 3 weeks ago, there was a meeting between Fatou Bensouda and the French foreign minister in Paris. Madame Fatou Bensouda, don't forget, I've not stopped investigating you and following you. Before Fatou Bensouda took an appeal to the chambers of appeal chamber against Babugo. Fatou Bensouda flew into Paris to consult, and repeat this, to consult the French government as to what he should do about Babugo. They agreed in that meeting that was held, because people who took place in the meeting have been my people for a long time. And I receive information. I can even tell you what Fatou Bensouda will be wearing tomorrow, because I follow whatever she does on the question of ICC. That's why I keep telling Kenyans who are chest bumping today in Kibera that they are now free. They are not free. You cannot bribe everywhere. You could not bribe Fatou Bensouda. You might think people have lied to you that we have now talked to Fatou Bensouda. There's some, be careful. And I'm warning so many people, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. This Fatou Bensouda could spring something that has never been done, and you'll get a shocker. She went to Paris, agreed with the French. You know, French pay 3/4 of the money that ICC wants, from a toilet cleaner to the judge, from a tea girl to the chief prosecutor. They pay the money.
And that money is majorly drawn from Africa.
Yes. So what they did, they agreed with Fatou Bensouda that Babugo should not be allowed to go back for elections in
slated for next year.
Next year. Mm-hmm. Because Babugo's party had reactivated itself and they had started campaigning. It could definitely, with the way Alassane Ouattara has handled Ivory Coast, even changing his age, extending his age from 75 to rule until God calls him. People were not happy in Ivory Coast. So what Ouattara did was to call the French to tell Fatou Bensouda that, can you please keep this man under the ICC wraps until the election in...
Because remember, he was released the first time he was released.
There you are.
You're free to go.
There you are, my people.
And then the next thing you hear...
If you think this is not a proxy, this is a proxy war.
Yes.
We fight a proxy war. That's why I brought this topic. It is not every day we should speak about Kenya, Kenya, Kenya. No, let's speak about things that students of the international community can understand.
Okay.
This is a proxy war, a very bad proxy war that is being played. And if you are Kenyan and you were once in the ICC, be careful. Don't just bump around Kibera. Let people just, I'm telling you in the name of God, let people campaign. You keep quiet. Because this is going to come. Let people do whatever they are saying. This woman is leaving, but I'm telling you, she might not leave alone. I wanted to remove this ICC thing through work envelope. Mr. Justice, this so-called justice man, went on taking me to Karamoja, then he brought me to Turkana, then to Samburu, then he took me to Samburu again, then took me down. I lost 6 million shillings. I wanted to save Kenya out of this amorphous, obnoxious court called ICC. Now that Americans don't like it, what will you do? What? You touch one American, they will bomb you. Fatou Bensouda is useless. So now in her uselessness, with those skirts and those vitenges of hers, I swear she's going to go down with some people. So be careful. I am fed up of telling people, some of them even when you leave the offices, they start saying, this man said this. Now I'm going to be saying things publicly so that let other people take note. There will be sympathizers within these systems who will take note and say that man was right. I'm telling you, Fatou Bensouda is a dangerous woman.
And she's not living by herself.
No,
she's not going.
She's living. She's gonna leave a disaster. You know, a trail of disaster.
A trail of disaster.
And she will be gone.
And perhaps the people that she might be, perhaps she should live with as the leadership of South Sudan. What is wrong with these people, Doctor?
Are we already in South Sudan?
Yes, we are.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of South Sudan that you have endured the suffering between 2013 to date. I want to take this opportunity also to thank Dr. Riek Machar for having got my message and listened and agreed to travel to Kampala tomorrow for the summit. I want to take this opportunity also to thank General Salva Kiir for agreeing to pursue peace, for requesting for the list so that a government is formed. The formation of a government will stop the tribunal. But if the government is not formed, a tribunal will be injected as soon as possible. The country that has, I've already told Riek which country has drafted. And I want to tell also Salva Kiir, I've told his people to tell him that there's a silent country in Europe that has drafted a resolution for a Rwanda type of tribunal. And they don't care. That country is willing to pay the money for that tribunal to function. And believe me not, my two brothers from South Sudan, if you don't sign those agreements, if you don't implement it, prepare for Matsanga to be visiting you.
It's going to be a very rough time for,
yes.
for the people of South. And of course, Riek Machar has come out to ask for an extra 100 days. Doctor, this is what I don't understand. I was talking about it here in the morning. All the 6 months they had, they waited till the last minute, and now they're coming out and saying the issues that are so important that were supposed to be ironed out have not been ironed out. Why did they wait until the last minute? Why did they not start bringing these matters the second month into the 6 months that they were given, or the first month or the third month? Why do Machar wait until the last minute, and that's when it's like, you know what, I cannot come because some matters that were supposed to be sorted out have not been sorted out? Why this wait? And now they want 100 days to be extended. What difference will that even make?
Do you want me to tell you why?
Tell us.
You really want me to say it?
I'm sure South Sudanese are out there. They want to hear
the agreement was done wrongly. The agreement of South Sudan is the most obnoxious, silly paper that I have ever seen. I'm sorry, I have to say. You want me to say it?
Say it.
That's it.
Don't miss your words.
Yes, the agreement was done upside down. You cannot structure political arrangement when you have forgotten human rights arrangement. The people whom you are talking to must agree and must accept, must confess to you as a mediator that they were wrong. Both of them indifferent. But up to today, Dr. Riek Machar and General Salva Kiir, none of them, even when they went near God, where God Pope,
the Pope.
The Pope, what is his name?
In Vatican. Pope.
The Vatican Pope.
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis kissed their legs. God came through their blood. But they did not agree.
We were hoping God came through.
No, Pope in 1998, Pope Paul touched my head when we were negotiating the Aboke girls, whom Konyi had abducted and taken. Ask Mama Babas, ask Obita, ask all of those about all of us who were in Rome, we had sense and we came back. Is the war not over? Look, these ones are playing with fire. First, the fire on earth and the fire up there.
It's too much fire.
The two guys have not agreed. And let me address Sudanese, South Sudanese, and let me address my fellow Ugandans, and especially President Museveni, whose people I tagged to see, to watch and give him this step. Until Dr. Riek Machar and General Salva Kiir accept that they made mistakes and they want to work together, you will not get the peace. The two have not. The two have not agreed at all.
They're quite both hardliners.
Yes, because they are fighting a proxy war. You want to tell me there's no proxy war in South Sudan? It's a very big proxy war.
It has to be, because a lot of people are benefiting from the chaos that are going
Can you tell me the company that says, the company that said we came to look for something but we didn't find it? Name it. Name it, Miriam. I'm looking this way. Name the company. There is an oil company in the world that said, I came, I saw nothing. And therefore I packed my goods, I'm gone. It's a proxy war. What was that company doing in South Sudan? It was looking for oil. And who was manning those oil regions? The rebels and the government. So when they saw they can't get it, they announced officially that we came to look for oil, we didn't find it, we have left. They came to Kenya. They wanted to buy Taro oil from Turkana. The Taro oil people said, no, this is the amount of money we want. They said that's too much. But then for Makiu, the Kenyan government was aware that the same company, Total Oil, said it will help us to build the pipeline from Lapset up to Lochiga, or whatever. What do you call it?
That one.
Yes, Lochiga.
Yes.
That pipeline never materialized. That company stayed around the CBD. You could find their directors. All of them are agents of DSGE, the external intelligence network of France. They were there. You could see them. In Radisson Blue, they stayed for a long time.
Oh, they're enjoying the Nairobi good weather.
Yes, good weather and a good everything. Nairobi is a good place for tourism. Hallelujah. This company now, after finding no oil in Kenya, they crossed over to where? Faramijo. I'm telling you, look at the proxy war we are fighting here. Immediately they reached, Faramijo kicked out United Arab Emirates. Faramijo picked Qatar oil. Qatar as a country. Qatar has no drilling grader, even one grader. Qatar hires Total Oil to drill everything they get. You need anything more than that? Have you seen an international conspiracy? Look at it. There you are. So, Dr. Riek Machar, my brother, I want to thank you very much. You have done your best. You picked up guns because there was a conflict at the beginning. Now heal that conflict. Shake hands genuinely with General Salva Kiir. Save yourself the prison in the tribunal.
It awaits you if that is not done. All right.
If you know my number, the usual one you call me. I will tell you the country and you will be shocked. Also equally Salva Kiir, you know my number. Instead of giving Mr. Reinberg $1.3 million, just give it to us to campaign for you never to go to the tribunal. Otherwise, wagwan. Otherwise, wagwan. Wagwan. The tribunal is waiting. And in fact, I would do better to persuade that country not to put the tribunal than Rainbaga, who collected Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto, Muthaura, and the rest. You remember? With Hassan Omar, Maina Kiai, Giladiwelo Otieno, Harun Dove. Have you seen the men? The men who lined up to take their friends, working with Rainbaga in Norfolk Hotel at night. And you hire Rainbaga to protect you, he will deliver you to the tribunal. At least Matanga will sympathize with Riek and Salva Kiir because they gave me food in Sudan, South Sudan, when I was, negotiating for the Uganda peace process. But if you give money to Rainbaga, you have given money to the gatekeeper of hell. Because both of you will burn. You know they are gatekeepers, they are angels. You just don't walk to God anyhow. Am I wrong? I have never gone there, but it looks like. The arrangement must be specific. Come one by one. Otherwise, God will take all of us at a go.
Not come all, just come one by one.
One, where kuja? Tomorrow is your day, kuja. So please, my brothers in South Sudan, listen to the lips. There is reggae. So I want to thank President Museveni again for having finally, in fact, it looks like Museveni listens too much to
you.
To Matanga, yes. Your Excellency, why don't you just make me the Minister of Foreign Affairs? In fact, I would do better than the current ones. Honestly, if you don't apply for jobs in Africa, you can't be given. I have all the qualities, the cleanliness, the smartness, the knowledge, the brains. The only thing is that when you pay me my money, the other one, then I can start work. But for the sake of my country, I can do better. Yes, because I can push things. I can cushion. You can tell people, don't put sanctions on Uganda. There is one thing I have never done in my life. During this whole 34 years, ever to tell Britain or country X to put sanctions on Uganda. Never. It has never come from my mouth. Because I hate sanctions. Sanctions don't regime change. If you put sanctions on Uganda, you think you can overthrow Museveni? Even if you tell Museveni not to travel, can you overthrow him? The guy has an army. The boys in the army who were 1 year old, they are in the army, they are 34 years old. All of them, they are there. It is his. You see, people who are calculating in politics don't know. If you have gone to school, unfortunately, basically read only 1 degree of medicine, but had he gone further to read, to become a surgeon, not a doctor, he would have understood the difficulties of tackling the government there. First, this government has got a class of its own. It can vote this guy without you. Look at my eyes. The boys of 1985 to 2019 are 34 years old. They don't know anybody. Actually, they know Matanga because I talk and every day I'm on TV. But some of them don't know me. They know Muzee. The word Muzee. Okay, let's ask Muzee. Now, if have such a system, and then you say you are opposing. How? It is like a few Jewish people. You have been arrested by Hitler. What do? Pray to Jesus. That's what it is. So for me, such politics, Miriam, I told you I don't want to be involved. That's one. Two, I hate politics of sanctions, or people putting sanctions on Ugandans. Because if you cripple the Ugandan economy,
everybody will be affected.
The entire, even if you say targeted, for example, if you put sanctions on all President Museveni's ministers, they will not be able to travel to get facilities worldwide. So Ugandans will suffer. So the American type of sanctions must be condemned, must be fought. And the earlier the president starts giving credible people, not these men who inflate bills, who go and say that, oh, we have got Bello Potija. Bello Potija will eat your money, but he's a Mzungu who will side with Bazungu. He doesn't want his company also to be put on sanction list. But me, what will you do with me? What do I have? What do I have? This small house? Where? You can take it. I will not care, I'm an activist. So the earlier the president gets activist and they start talking about Uganda's situation, over 2,000 Ugandans are on sanction list. The entire NRM secretariat is gone. They will never travel there. If I'm wrong, try to take your passport to the American embassy tomorrow. If you are a Ugandan minister, try. Try now, tomorrow, and call me. I will be here. They will tell you sorry.
Persona non grata.
Yeah. So there is a problem there now. And that is a proxy war. French brought it. They came to Uganda, they said we shall build the Mwanza Tanga Rere. They lied us, they dug a few things, and then they ran off. So now we should keep quiet about this. Magufuli was one of their favorite. They later on discovered that Magufuli was told that for France to give money, man has to marry man. Then I wonder why I should sit with Miriam and look at her. So Magufuli said, if your money, you take it. But Tanzania haiwezi kukua namna hivyo.
Yes, it took
the French packed up, left us halfway. We've now got Chinese who are trying to dig that railway. So it's a proxy war. Let's move on.
We go to the DRC.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is a travesty. It's a country that God, it is a country that God comes, cries, drops tears in a different direction. I think the tears are dropped in the equatorial forest.
Equatorial Guinea.
Forest. Because the whole of Congo, if you go by plane from Kenya, it's 4 hours. In Uganda, it's only 45 minutes. So it means 3 hours running in Congo until you land Kinshasa. Down you see only the green forest.
It's a very fertile country.
The Congo forest, yes. It's a fertile country, but an infertile democratic country.
And potentially one of the richest countries on the earth.
But again, a troubleshooting country. It has so many rebel groups, east, west, north, central, center, Katanga region. The leader yesterday, Moise Katumbi, was talking, but whom does he talk on behalf of what? He talks on behalf of somebody. We can't talk much, it's a proxy war.
All right.
Let's move on.
To Amazonia, perhaps.
Amazonia.
We look at that quickly.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the government of America for removing the trade pact between them and Cameroon. Thank you very much, Trump. Thank you very much, Susan Rice, and our international consultancy company. We shall not name it here, but thank you very much, Madam. I will be available on the dates that you have talked about. When you cross over in Chatham House, we shall be able to discuss the chapter and talk about the Chatham House. I will be presenting a paper in Chatham House. The American foreign policy, has it failed or worked in Africa? On 27th of January 2020.
Oh, you have a date at the Chatham House?
Yes. Okay. I'm a member. I'm a life member of the Chatham House in the United Kingdom. So mark that date. The poster will come out. Come and listen to me in the 2 hours that I have. You'll enjoy my oratory. I usually do without notes. Oh ye, let the American foreign policy cry on that day. My audience have already started clicking in, and I believe I will stand firm. And Madam Rice, we meet thereafter, after around 25th of January, we shall meet and discuss the way forward. Let's keep Africa. You have Africa at heart. Although Obama did not have Africa at heart. Obama administration did not, but a few people in Obama administration listen to us. Thank you very much.
All right.
The Amazonians, you are my friends forever. Remember me, or should one of my children come to you and say, I'm Dr. Matsanga's child, help them. But I'm liberating your country. Soon, Mr. Pierre will be prohibited person from traveling to any corners of the European Union.
It's interesting that he does not have sanctions.
Yeah, because nobody put pressure on him. Now, we have put pressure on him. Thank you very much. That is Amazonia. Next.
The proxy war between Rwanda and Burundi, and perhaps we just finish with that. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Some time back, in 2016, on this same television station, I told the people that there was a proxy war between Rwanda in East Africa. The French wanted to topple Kagame. They had nobody to use to topple Kagame. They found another person, a weakest link in East Africa, in the East African community, by name Nkurunziza. They started telling Nkurunziza that Mr. Paul Kagame was a very bad man. That Mr. Paul Kagame was training people to overthrow the government of Burundi. The same forces started convincing some other African countries, including South Africa. As you know, the relationship between South Africa and Kagame is very sour.
It's frosty.
Because several Rwandese have been killed, strangled in their hotels, left dead when the killers had already arrived home or wherever they go. The South African government broke relationship. Diplomatic relations were cut off. They never have been together for some time. The proxy war in East Africa between Burundi and Rwanda and Uganda and to some extent Tanzania and Rwanda, it has been there smearing. It came to the climax when the military in Burundi staged a military coup one morning when Mr. Nkurunziza was attending the East African Community meeting in Dar es Salaam. They held power for a few hours. They were overthrown by an external force that entered Bujumbura, occupied Bujumbura, which I cannot name here. They are still in Bujumbura. Now, Mr. Nkurunziza was reinstated to power. He became a president who doesn't, a prisoner. He can't go out. He can't go in. He can't eat out. He eats also inside. He sends his wife to go and attend some of the meetings. He sends his deputy. He's a president under hostage. Immediately after France failed to topple, to create that confusion, does it occur to you that France has never condemned Burundi for leaving ICC?
It has never condemned.
Have you ever had?
No, not really.
Okay, it answers your next question you want to ask. The French never condemned Nkurunziza for quitting ICC. But when Kenya wanted to quit ICC, the French came in, boom, 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 boom. They even gave conditions that they will cut off aid. That speaks volumes. And I want to take this opportunity to tell you that the proxy war, the war of words between Uganda and Rwanda, they went to Angola, to my in-laws. I have got everything, what took place there. It's very laughable that this gentleman agreed to work together, but at the same time, as soon as they entered the plane,
They changed their minds.
yeah, the blood started changing.
Because there's a meeting that was...
Believe me or not, up to today, some Rwandese don't travel to Uganda.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
they come through Kenya if they are to go to Uganda. They fly more into Nairobi, then you fly to, and when the stamps are seen that you are in Uganda, it has become a crime. And viewers, there are people who say we should not talk about these things. But surely, we are East African state trying to be members of the community. When you have your nationals not allowed to travel to one country, what are we? Is there a need? What is the problem with Africa? What kills Africa? What ails Africa? Diplomatic Leaks returns next week. And if you have questions, before I conclude,
Yes.
the area Tanzania has normalized, trying to normalize its relationship with Rwanda, because Tanzania stood on the side of Burundi to reinstate
But
Mr. Nkurunziza.
Burundi refused the efforts by Tanzania to try to bring the warring parties together.
Because Mkapa told you the truth. He saw it is not now Burundi, it is the French who refused Mr. Mkapa. Mkapa is my friend. We did a lot of things on Zimbabwe with President Mkapa. And he does not hide anything. Whenever I'm in Dar es Salaam, inasema mtukufu rais mstaafu, rais mstaafu, naomba kukuona baba mzee yangu, naona kukuja nyumbani tukunywe chai. Naendanga huko na kunywa chai kidogo na mzee. So he told me there is a country that does not want peace in the region. So there you are. We have it.
All right. Lamin Konate is saying we need sensible, patriotic and selfless leaders who understand the challenges of time and can offer lasting solutions to underlying issues. # smart leadership. Thank you so much. And Jay-Z Light is appreciating your efforts towards speaking out on behalf of Ambazonians. And thank you so much, Jay-Z
Really what
Light.
he has said so that I can feel happy.
All right, so he's saying, Doctor, thank you, Doctor, for always being there for Ambazonians, and then followed that with another comment saying, Doctor, we will never stop thanking you, and God bless you. So basically, they are appreciating. And Mboye, haven't seen your name here, and he's saying,
where had you gone?
Happy to see you again. Yes.
Miriam is very, very happy.
I can speak for myself now.
No, I can loud.
I can definitely. But thank you for, it's been a while we've not seen your name here, so thank you back. And Baba Jackie there, I think he's been with us from the start of the show, and thank you there for your support and your consistency, and in all being there in all our shows, so we appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Baba Jackie. Also, thank you very much. Baba Jackie follows me everywhere, even on Facebook. He's always there, and I stand. The same things I speak is the same. The only thing that now back on Kenya before we close, we have just exchanged very rough words with Maraga, myself, and on his Twitter.
Did he respond?
Yes, we are hammering each other. Now, as we speak, this war. I have told Justice Maraga, you're a grown-up man. Why don't you pick a phone and call President Uhuru Kenyatta? Sit down and discuss the difficulties of your court. Why do you lament at the age of 67 or so? You lament about being recognized in a function. Why don't you sit like Matanga, who was never recognized by Ruto? Even when I went to ICC, he used to see me there. He thought I was an enemy. But I have never gone anywhere to get annoyed. When I find him, is His Excellency, my Deputy President, my friend, we laugh. But don't laugh. Don't throw so many things in public. You are an elder. You are Chief Justice. I have never, if you ask me the name of the Chief Justice of Britain, I don't know. Yet they are the people who are the custodians of law in the whole world that we are using today. But I don't know the name of the Chief Justice of United Kingdom because he doesn't speak. He doesn't go to church and tell people I'm here. He doesn't go to a drinking bar. They have special places. He doesn't play golf anyhow. He plays golf somewhere. That is what a Chief Justice is. But Maraga has reduced himself to a small street hawker who walks around to address people that buy my goods, buy my goods, buy my goods, buy my goods. Niko na chaja shilingi 20, buy. What type of judge is this?
And what was his response to that?
It is going on. His men from Kisii have come for me. They are calling me all names. Thank you. I'm not worried. I am going to call even more names. In fact, me, this mouth you see, has a package. You insult me, I insult you. A chief justice should not behave like a common hawker, hawking around selling goods. Chief justice has called people inside the press conference. You don't stand outside like you're a leader. You are not a leader. There's only one president who was given a sword. And I cannot keep quiet talking about this. If you want to hate me, so what? Hatred was worth. That's why Karl Marx died with nothing. You cannot have a chief justice standing anyhow, opening his mouth anyhow. Then what type of court is this? This guy is not fit to be in court. A chief justice of Britain does not speak anyhow. And you see rule of law. In Britain, when the police says stop, you stop. When you say kneel, you kneel. They respect the judge. When there is a judge in the UK is on a motorbike, on a bicycle. In fact, you stand at the bus, let me tell Mr. Maraga, my house in the United Kingdom, next to me is my judge, is a judge of the High Court, retired. But this guy, we used to stand at the same bus stop to go. He's going to Old Bailey to work. Now Maraga wants S5, 500. It's like these women that you love in Nairobi, before you can even know whether his mouth smells nicely or not, he has told you, I want a plot in Karen and keys. Nataka kifunguo na Range Rover. Go and get it.
It's time to go. It's
No,
time to go.
Mom, it's true.
I don't know that. Well, I'm a woman, so I really don't know.
No, it is happening. Just as there are men who before, then you say, what do you do? Miriam.
I'll just listen. Please don't involve me.
Judges. No, on Maraga, I can't involve you.
I'm not on Maraga. This other topic.
Judges, on this other topic, I'll keep quiet. But on judges, on Maraga, Chief Justice Maraga is an leader. I want to give advice because everybody is at home now listening. He must also be listening. You are an leader. Pick a phone and talk to President Uhuru Kenyatta. David, we are now in the bracket of 60s. I am 64. You are 60-something. You beat me by a few months. Yes. Why do you lopoloka, yopoyokopoka full like a hawker?
Are you trying to say ropokwa?
Ropoko is what is it called? Call me, please. Don't laugh at me. Why?
It's on a light note.
The Chief Justice of a republic, of a country, must be dignified. This man does not drink alcohol. But imagine Maraga had to drink alcohol. It would be worse. Did you know that?
He used to, but he was saved.
I think those syndromes are still in.
No, they're not.
Please, I don't know. Because why do you call a press conference to talk about things which you could pick a phone and ask the Speaker of National Assembly to accompany you, the Speaker of Senate to accompany you to go and see His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta? Jermaine, if you Kenyans say I've talked wrongly, I'm sorry. But I think at my age, even if I'm a foreigner whom you don't like, I need to give advice. Because tomorrow, when chaos erupts here, you run to my place.
There's still some Kenyans at your place. There.
My clan.
Never
I have 10 Kikuyus in my clan who have shops in Pesa, in Bududa. They are there. Go and count them. They ran away from the Rift Valley. And when you see these guys chest bumping in Kibera, they don't know. I speak my mind. I'm not against Dr. Ruto. I'm not against anybody. Dr. Ruto is my friend. He knows. If he says he never saw Matanga laboring to get him out of ICC, then God is even waiting. He's waiting. But at least my conscience in my heart, I did my level best. But when you see this mess coming, when you see this mess coming, and you keep quiet as a man, Maraga yesterday said he calls upon Kenyans and the public. I am also the public to help him. So I am helping Dr. Maraga, David Maraga, how to behave. You are not selling spare parts like a Chinese. Even the Chinese spare parts are even humble. They try to speak English and you have to interpret it. But Mr. Maraga, that's why there was no member of JSC standing with him. Was there? Was there? He should have collected members of JSC if he has support. To bring them and stand there, they speak with one voice. But it seems the members of JSC refused. They said, no, we cannot fight. The Chief Justice should have a spokesman of the judiciary, of the Chief Justice. Mr. Maraga, stop coming to the press. And I repeat, Mr. Maraga, stop coming to the press. Address these problems through dialogue inside with the president. You are tearing this country. Unless you have a George Soros plan to tear this country to pieces, which I am beginning next week to look into. Because I have been off the radar, not knowing. Apart from having traveled together with you to Austria, which you did not see me. Hey, my boys in Austria checked you. So look at that. I am checking on so many things. You know, there's no need of saying no. We know what is going on. If we keep quiet, this man is going to tear this country to pieces. You can't address such things. Yes, there is austerity measures everywhere. But the Chief Justice can pick a phone and call the president that please increase some money in order for us to remove a workload. You don't need to publicize to the whole country that I have failed to manage the court. In short, what Mr. Maraga was saying is that he had failed to manage the court. Therefore, relieve him of duties.
And he was very clear. He came out and said he will not be resigning. So
if he doesn't, he will be forced out. Kenyans now, the ones I saw today plotting what they are writing, he will be out. He will not even be on the panel when they are investigating him. He's going to be out. Let him prepare for that. Yes, he caused the problem himself. I think Maraga wants to get annoyed, go back and dissolve the parliament. He has been paid to do so. And the intelligence should watch out to that. I'm not telling a lie. Someone is pushing. Have you seen what Senator Murkomen is doing? Remember, Murkomen is also George Soros. Because he is the one who wrote statements that were to implicate Ruto. bad statements. I have the copies. Murkomen, you say, I print them out. That's how you say, I release them. Let the public know. Wachana. You are the people going around confusing people. Yet a few years ago, you are the ones sitting down, writing this thing with Rainbird. You think we don't know you? We think we don't know you. And you are the people even eating now Ruto money. Yeah, wajama, where pay? Some of us have kept quiet. Mimi, even if I'm not here, this station will be powerful even in... Wait, it will be powerful very soon. That it's people will say, I'll release. You know, Murkomen is joking. These are the people who wanted to kill these guys. We have stomached them. They have even given them the jobs. And they go on saying, I supported the Chief Justice. You support him to Lopoka. Lopoka like a child. A Chief Justice is a respectable man who should be beyond Caesar's wife. Bor Akum Dong, thank you. You are going to work, brother, but continue working. Pray for South Sudan. Tomorrow they are in Kampala, we are praying. 6 days to go.
Yes, from tomorrow.
From tomorrow. We want peace in South Sudan. May God help you, all of you. This was diplomatic leaks. Tuna kadogo. We don't release all the documents. Kadogo. Kadogo. And it helps diplomats in Kenya to check their pockets and their bags. You know, diplomatic bags. France, they went and told the ICC, Madame Fatou Bensouda, what were you doing in Paris on 27th of September when you landed in KLM flight number 2212? That left Schiphol Airport. What were you doing? You went to discuss Alassane Ouattara. I'm watching you. Twali no mukwano negufa. Obulamu bwo mukwano buzibu. Thank you very much, Freddie Masagazi from Uganda. That was a song dedicated to Ugandans. And if you Ugandans and you are watching, you remember Mr. Freddie Masagazi, one of the veteran singers who sang very lovely songs that kept all the families intact. There was no breakage of marriages. There was no divorce. The word divorce was never there. Such lovely songs from Uganda. Do you notice that the songs from Uganda, all of them talk about love? Love. 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 There is another song that Freddie Masagazi sang. It goes like this. Bamulete siche bakatulonze okuva bwe yali ewamge enafu emerete chawooma ne chayita chawooma songa ya sala mulete bamulete mangu. That song was very powerful. Literally, to those who don't understand Luganda, it says, bring my beloved Sarah. The food is not going. Since the day she was at my house, my food failed to go. I need you to come back, Sarah. Such songs brought patriotism. Thank you very much, viewers, and thank you very much, all of you. I can sing one song for Madame Miriam from Fred Masakazi. No, not Fred, from Les Wanyika. The last song that Baraka Michelle sang. Baraka Michelle, George Nganga. I've sung the song and George Nganga is back. I've sung the song. The last song by Baraka Michelle, before he died all the way from Arusha, he was going back to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. He sang it in the best restaurant by then in Kenya was the Carnival. And this song was like this. Hakuna kitu kibaya kuduniani kama shida. Kila siku shida shida. Oh, siku ya mwisho. Oh. And Baraka Mshe, that was the end of his life. But he left a song that said, when you are at the wedding, there is a problem. Even when you are about to die, there is a problem. So he said, there is nothing in the world that has no problem until God calls you. Thank you very much, Africans. Thank you very much, people. Thank you very much for listening. Over to you, Miriam, to close down.
All right.
I can see a lot of competition on the wall.
No, stop.
Between you. Yeah, let's talk about it.
No, let's not talk
Mr.
about
Nganga has returned.
Mr. Nganga, very nice to see you. Thank you so much. And also here I got A1.
Yes,
so
Mr.
much.
Nganga says he's in love with Miriam. He crushes on you.
Why are you putting words in?
He's here.
He did not say,
Miriam.
He did not talk about love.
He says Miriam is my crush.
That does not translate to love.
I am trying to translate.
Stop.
Are you crashing the helicopter or the parachute?
How about we see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. for the Good Morning Africa show? And thank you so much.
Who is saying she's so beautiful? Nganga, please.
It's time to go. No,
Don't bring chaos in the studio.
Just listen. We can. Nganga, nice to see you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Miriam is my co-host. Yes. We are together on this.
The journey of bettering Africa.
Bettering Africa, yes, nothing else, nothing more. Only to make Africa a better place. Always don't think about the words that we exchange here. Keep reminding yourself that Africa must rise and shine again.
You're trying so hard to just stay away from that conversation. I can see you're really holding yourself up. Yes, you're doing a good job. So let's just say bye.
Yeah, I'm keeping away because I might be hurt. So let me keep it that way.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome back, George.
Thank you.
To again give me pressure.
George, thank you so much for the kind words. Dr. Matsanga is joking, and we thank you. We've had a good show, so you've missed a lot that we've been talking about. So you can replay this show, George and the rest of you who are just joining us, and thank you so much. So tomorrow, Doctor.
This country is a great country. Yes, keep it going. Chief Justice pick the phone and talk to Uhuru, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Stop exposing all this data learning in public. Don't buy cheap popularity, cheap, and don't be a hawker, be a Chief Justice. Thank you very much. This station is for Africa, with Africa, for Africa. Ciao.
peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.